So I went to see the latest A24 flick, The Drama, this week, and it's been getting a lot of attention online surrounding the movie's twist, but I actually think the most interesting parts of the movie come after the reveal. Just a heads up, this movie will be completely spoiler free, and that is absolutely how you should be going into this movie. Everything that I mention here is something that's shown in the trailers, so please try and go in as blind as you can. First of all, I really like this one. A24 has continued to have a pretty good strike rate in the past 10 years as they've transitioned from a distribution studio to a full-on production powerhouse, and for me, The Drama has just knocked it out of the park. Let me just start off by saying that Zendaya and Robert Pattinson put in a really good performance here. You can tell that they're having a really good time in this, and hearing Rob's real accent for the first time in a project was really exciting. It felt a lot more genuine and real to him. That's not to take away from other performances because I think he is an absolute fantastic actor. Outside of the co-leads, Mamoudou Athie is probably my favourite performance in this movie. He plays the best man who is stuck in the middle of this absolute shit show of a wedding, and him trying to mediate everything and just try his hardest to pretend that everything is back to normal is hilarious.
I want to say this thing about her laugh. Do you know how it's kind of like, it's very cute, but it's also kind of like...
repulsive even.
Yeah.
Okay.
This movie is altogether really funny. A lot of the jokes come from a dark center, and as much as I think that when people talk about dark humor, it always comes off as either cringy or just straight up discriminatory, this movie presents dark humor in a really well-balanced way. My theater had a really great time opening night, which always adds to your viewing experience, I think. The other thing I really enjoyed here is the movie's editing. The film likes to play with the audience, but more so the character's mind, in showing us what they're thinking could be happening, but not exactly what is happening. It really easily allows us to take a look into certain characters' heads and gives us a great idea of how they're thinking. I'm a huge advocate of show, don't tell, and decisions like this, where the movie doesn't treat you like an idiot, are really great. It really lets us get into the psyche of these characters in a quick and effective way. But by far my favourite part of this film is with the twist, or I guess lack of. Lots of movies tend to lean on this idea of a twist a lot, having a film dramatically lead up to this big reveal only for them to not say too much afterwards, I feel like is a trope that a lot of films these days can fall into. Spoiler alert, in The Drama, we learn the twist in the first 10 to 15 minutes of the movie, and within those first few minutes, it's built up really well. The scene where we find out Emma's secret feels really natural and exactly the type of situation where I would accidentally reveal something dark about myself. But my point is that once this big twist happens, that's when the story really kicks off, and we get the entire movie to explore that story. The twist itself, I really enjoyed. There has been a little bit of discourse online surrounding it, and there is a lot of weight, I think, to that conversation. The movie doesn't really attempt to make any social commentary about the issues surrounding the twist, almost the opposite actually in a few scenes, sort of supporting some really odd arguments to the issue. Again, it's really hard to talk about it without spoiling anything, and I definitely think that the decision to keep this reveal hidden in the marketing was mostly due to people not wanting anyone to be talking about this reveal from a political sense before the movie's release. Getting that out of the way, I really appreciated how extreme they went with it. I saw this with my girlfriend, and where she guessed that Emma would be a serial killer, I guessed werewolf. Neither of us guessed it properly, and I'll let you guys decide who got closer. But if you've seen my previous review, you'll know that I'm a big fan of when films get weird and push the limits. So I'm glad that this movie didn't pull any punches in that sense. Once the twist drops, the story shifts into following Emma and Charlie as they try and keep their wedding week on track, with a big focus on how Charlie processes it all and tries to come to terms with Emma's reveal. I had a really great time here watching Charlie slowly lose his mind and start to make really dumb decisions and mistakes. This is where I thought the performances shone the most. I thought that Emma was also a really interesting character. Everyone knows the feeling of walking on eggshells around someone that you've hurt, and to watch Emma try and reconcile everything while also dealing with the fact that the people closest to her know her darkest secret is really interesting. I mentioned earlier that I went and saw this movie with my partner, and I highly recommend going to see this the same way. After the movie, we spent probably 2 hours talking about it, and specifically the hypothetical of us being in this situation and the psychological element to these characters and their decision making. It made for some really interesting conversation and something that I've been seeing a lot of other people praising the movie for. The movie culminates at the end of the week as our couple attempts to go through with their wedding. This is where I feel like a lot of these type of movies have their make or break moments, and to this film's credit, it really makes it. The writing here is clever enough that all of our storylines converge in this anxiety-inducing, cringy confrontation. Watching it is almost like a car crash in slow motion. Everything here meets in a really satisfying finale that will have you peeking through your fingers the entire time. Again, it's really hard to talk about this without spoiling anything, not in the trailers, but watching the mistakes of both Emma and Charlie catch up to them, and then them having to overcome that is both really funny to watch, but it's also really heartwarming and endearing. And that's something I haven't really touched on. The drama is a romance movie, and this couple to me feels really raw and authentic, and I really felt for them the entire time. And the ending left me really satisfied with where these characters are and where they'll go. So I'm going to go ahead and give the drama an 8 out of 10. So that's my take on the drama. This one was a little shorter as I had to tiptoe over spoilers, but I really think that that is the best way to go into this movie. With both of these leads set to have a packed year of really exciting projects, I cannot wait to jump back into the theaters and watch these guys again. I'm not sure what I'll be looking at next, but whenever I'll get to something, I'll make sure to put out a little review. In the meantime, I really appreciate the few people that are watching these. If you enjoyed the video, please just give it a like, show it to one of your mates. Take it easy, guys. I'll catch you later. Bye.